Thank you, man. It's 6:46. Speaking of Halloween, it can conjure up images of cemeteries for many of us. But traditional graveyards could become a thing of the past as time goes on.
That's right. CBS News' Laura Podesta shows us how researchers in New York are developing futuristic final resting places.
More than 500,000 people are buried in Brooklyn's Greenwood Cemetery, but it's reaching its capacity.
5 years ago, I said 5 years. But now we're really down probably to the last 3 to 5 years.
Researchers at Columbia University are literally thinking outside the box, trying to come up with burial alternatives. Carla Rothstein is founder of the school's Death Lab. She envisions placing remains in reusable glowing vessels, creating a constellation park. She says natural chemical reactions from decomposing remains create energy, powering the glow for up to a year.
The light will slowly brighten and then dim at the end, at the conclusion of the disposition process, at which point there'll be a small amount of inorganic remains. Those remains can be collected and given to the family.
After the light fades, Rothstein says the vessel will stay in place and be reused. The idea to install these tributes in light in parks and other public places.
How do you expect people to move through the space?
So the levels are connected by ramps and stairs, but the desire is that you could go through it pushing a baby carriage or on a bicycle or strolling, thinking about life, death, and the future.
Cemeteries are also a logical space for displaying the glowing vessels, something Moylan says he would consider.
There are a lot of innovative options coming along, and most of them we would probably welcome.
Because real estate and time is running out for us all. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
Now, we're told the Death Lab has funding behind its project, but admits it could be years before a working prototype is built. We're to follow on that.
Kind
I
of
find it
fascinating.
Absolutely.
Yeah, kind of weird just because, again, it's so different.
Absolutely.
But very fascinating. Now, looking at some trends locally, we stopped into Dokken-Nelson Funeral Home.
That's right. Missy caught up with funeral director Stephanie Peterson to find out what folks are interested in here in Southwest Montana.
So, Stephanie, in your 11 years of being in the funeral directing business, talk to us a little bit about how you've seen trends change and what people are going towards these days.
Right. Well, when I started, cremation and burial were kind of equivalent. Cremation's been heavier in Montana since I've been doing this, but for the most part, we've seen cremation really grow. And I would say we're probably about 75% cremation now, as opposed to full burials.
Now, that's so interesting that you say that, because I think of living in Southwest Montana. It's such a beautiful place. People are involved in the rivers and the mountains. So do you see a lot of people spreading those ashes?
We do. We're an outside people. You know, we like to be out hiking and camping and fishing. And so we see that a lot. A lot of times with the cremation, we don't go to a cemetery, but there is still that part of it that we do that sometimes. So yeah, I would say that weighs heavily on it with people choosing the cremation and the scattering.
And I think it's fascinating, and obviously the good part of it all is you have the option to do these things. So you mentioned a while ago as we were chatting that people also have a little bit more of a green option, and they're leaning more of a green way. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so Green Burial, the Green Burial Council is a national organization, and they kind of cover certifying funeral homes, and we're the only funeral home in Montana that's actually Green Burial certified. Wow. And so that means that we supply, green burial products such as caskets that are all natural products, no metals, no harmful glues, things like that. We also have urns that are meant for that are more biodegradable, that a lot of people can, do water burial, that sort of thing with the ashes instead of having a full urn or burying, metal or marble or something like that.
How fascinating. I think at the time of a loss, it's very overwhelming dealing with all sorts of other financial issues, family issues, people traveling. And so it's really amazing when you guys can have this beautiful showroom down here so people can really take a look. And how do you deal with that sort of aspect of a grieving family and try to get their needs met?
Right. And each case is so different. Yeah. We never know what, it so depends on the family dynamics and what the situation is. I would say a lot of times people don't realize that we're able to meet with a family, and a lot of times we're celebrating someone's life, and it's not always the sad scenario that a lot of people think we're dealing with. However, we do have that a lot. And so we have to be very empathetic and also be able to direct them and lead them, because otherwise we'd get nowhere. So we have to be able to take on both roles. And I think if you're doing this without having the sympathy of it, you shouldn't probably be doing it.
Right.
So we all very much care for the families we serve and treat them like they're our own family.
You certainly do. I've been to services here, so I can attest for that as well.
you.
Stephanie, thank you for what you do, and thank you for showing us so many amazing options and what we have in our own backyard.
Yes, thank you.
Chet, have you thought about how you
I have.
wanna go?
Cheapest way possible, I would say probably cremation. Looks like that would be the cheapest way to go.
Would you want your ashes spread, scattered?
Well, whatever happens with them afterwards, not really my deal.
Interesting. But a big party.
Well, for the people that are left, absolutely.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
It's not a
Big
sad thing.
celebration of life.
Absolutely true.
And
Move
that's,
on,
I love
people.
that's
I'm
what
gone
Stephanie
now.
said. She said, we're getting away from the sadness and really celebrating people's lives, which is what it's all about.
You?
Big party. Probably ashes scattered. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
All right.
We'll talk about it.
All right. We should go